अब मैं माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी से सादर निवेदन करती हूँ कि आज के इस पावन और शुभ दिवस का वह अपने कर कमलों द्वारा उद्घाटन करें, ज्ञान और ज्योति के प्रतीक इस दीप को प्रज्वलित कर। मंचासीन हमारे सभी गणमान्य जन, उनसे भी निवेदन है कि इस शुभ परंपरा में शामिल हों। तो सभी की शुभकामनाओं के साथ आज के इस कार्यक्रम का मंगलमय शुभारंभ और आप सभी को मानवाधिकार दिवस की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। देवी सज्जनों, 10 दिसंबर का दिन एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण दिन है पूरी ह्यूमैनिटी के लिए, पूरी मानवता के लिए। ये मानव अधिकारों के मूल्यों को समझने की तरफ और मानवता के उद्देश्य और लक्ष्य के प्रति हमारी प्रतिबद्धता को पुनः स्थापित करने का एक अवसर है। और यदि आप NHRC के आदर्श वाक्य को देखें, मोटो को देखें, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिना, ये इसमें निहित है। यानी कि सभी लोग सुखी रहें, सभी लोग स्वस्थ रहें, रोग मुक्त हो, सभी का मंगलमय हो। And this, ladies and gentlemen, has been the very guiding principle of NHRC since its very inception. And with this as its guiding principle, it has been taking all its measures, all its initiatives. And with the celebrations, the Commission in fact sees an opportunity for every individual to introspect and to look forward to his deeds and rights and to ensure that he or she does not become the reason for the violation of human rights. Towards the protection and promotion of human rights, we all work towards. This is the very importance of this day. तो एक बार फिर इसी भावना के साथ, इसी सोच और विचार के साथ हम आप सभी का इस सभागार में स्वागत करते हैं और कमीशन की तरफ से स्वागत करने के लिए मैं आमंत्रित करती हूँ माननीय न्यायमूर्ति श्री अरुण मिश्रा जी को उनके स्वागत संदेश के लिए और साथ साथ आयोग की वार्षिक रिपोर्ट के सिनॉप्सिस पेश करने के लिए।
Honorable President Shri Ramnath Kovind ji, members of the Commission, former Chief Justice of India, Honorable Judges of the Supreme Court, chairpersons and members of the various national commissions and state commissions, officers of central and state governments, and commission representative of the United Nations organizations, ambassadors, diplomats, members of media, civil society, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my proud privilege to extend a warm welcome to the Honorable President of India, our constitutional head of the country, who is known for his dignity, ethical principles, and great human values. I also feel delighted to welcome all of you and connected with us online. The glorious Human Rights Day is the most auspicious day of our Manav Dharma. The day signifies adoption of the Universal Declaration by members countries of the United Nations in the year 1948. Human rights ethos and values prevailing in Indian culture and traditions have been codified in our Golden Constitution, which also forms part of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. India is the largest vibrant democracy globally, having unity in diverse religions, cultures, faiths, and languages. The disparity in political, socio-economic conditions of the nation and the people call for different solutions. Economic equality, social justice, and participation in governance protect human rights. Our bright future depends on removing inequality, ignorance, illiteracy, disease, and poverty. Today is the day for reiterating the message of constructive evolution by stopping the destructive mentality. The task is to prevent violence, combat terrorism and crime. Terrorism violates human rights across the world. Countries are advancing. Terrorism must be held accountable. The world faces challenges caused by growing terrorism, shrinking democratic space, intimidation, reprisals, and complaints of grave violation of gender rights. Aghast is migration problems, issues of refugee, and that of displaced persons. The theme of this year Human Rights Day is equality. All human, all equal. Equality is the essence of human rights. It requires upholding of justice and dignity in every walk of life. We have to provide protective discrimination by providing compensatory justice to those who have suffered injustice and violation of their human rights. The state is bound to provide facilities to reach the minimum standard of health, education, and economic opportunities. Part 4 of the Constitution, containing directive principles of the state policy, is used as a foundation to realize the social economic goal in India and to impart justice to all. There is a need of harmonious balance between the distribution of benefits and distributive justice. We need to strive to fulfill vulnerable sections' legitimate rights and aspirations by ameliorating measures. Each individual must share power, material resources, and opportunities. We have to eliminate discrimination based on gender, disability, and aging. We have to make weaker stronger and remove barriers in the path of achieving a harmonious society. To have inclusive growth, we have to take care of factors resulting in exclusion and ensure that no one is left behind as a victim of discrimination. Tolerance and inclusion are non-negotiable human rights. Robust institutions, knowledge exchange, and maximum protection for the welfare of all are essential to nurturing a just and equitable social order. The country's future belongs to younger generation. We have to harness their inherent strength and talent. We need to instill in them core human values, the faith in the goodness of human beings. Human rights are acquired by birth. They are not mere aspirations. Instead, morally saved and judicially enforceable. Human rights are violated by unfair economic structure. It is necessary to provide a remedy for victims of business-related human rights violations. Resources essential for sustainable development are falling scarce by unbridled explorations. All individuals have the bare minimum right to a safe, clean, healthy environment. We see trans-border movement of the hazardous waste, e-waste, global warming. To save the further degradation of the environment, we have to think globally and act locally. India has emerged as a pioneer in the national climatic policy as a catalyst to protect the environment. Our fundamental duty is to proactively save the environment, forest, flora and fauna. No one can control or manipulate available information, news and views with the advent of technology. The extent of freedom of cyberspace, both online and offline, are a matter of debate. It has fueled grave apprehensions of its misuse. Freedom of speech is the most cherished value and fundamental right to be protected. Still, it cannot be an unruly horse, violating the sovereignty, integrity of the country, public order, decency and morality. The one is obligated to be faithful to the values in Article 19 of the Constitution and related laws. The honesty in its freedom of speech is feared most. Negativity is a form of violation of human rights that cause fear and distress. Creating positivity is essential for developing individuals and the country's growth. India is a responsible member of international community with necessary obligation and commitment. We give Vedanta philosophy to the world. By adopting its spirit of learning for the benefit of humanity, India has become a knowledge power. Indians are trusted to hold important assignment and position in different fields in various countries. Indian scientists successfully invented COVID vaccines administered free of cost to all and shared with other countries. Indians during the worst ever human crisis stood together with the entire humanity. We shall remain indebted to frontline workers for their exemplary contribution. They saved the lives at the cost of their own. Health coverage to all at affordable cost is a facet of right to life. COVID-19 has brought to the fore the scarcity and ever-existing plight of the poor to afford costly life-saving drugs, medicines and vaccines. In this scenario, the right of patent holders must succumb to the right of life. Prompt collective action by various countries is needed in current times. The recovery process from shock of pandemic is an opportunity to set stage at the global level for more inclusive, equitable and friendly world anchored in human rights. We have to ensure that everyone is able to reap the fruits of one's hard work. Small vendors do not starve, no infringement of civil liberties takes place. As is necessary concomitant to meet challenges caused by the COVID, health infrastructure expanded. Technology helped the world stand together. We have adopted digital technology, however, we have to address the effect of digital divide. Justice is a source of peaceful society. Due to delayed justice, people take the law into their own hands. The rule of law requires delivery of speedy justice. We must avoid imprisonment of a suspect without trial. There is no room for fake encounters. The government is accountable to its people. The commissions ensure that officers of the state observe human rights responsibilities. The laws and policies framed for welfare are duly followed and not rendered mockery. The functioning of the Commission is of bridging the gaps, ironing out the creases, and helping in good governance by providing motions. The Commission has adopted complete online system of complaint management. It received approximately 98,000 complaints and decided 95,000 of them this year. The Commission launched its Twitter handle in 1920, having 31,000 followers. Commission has at its disposal a pool of high-level experts in core groups. It's researching tirelessly works for data collection analysis to accelerate and ensure benefits of the welfare scheme reach the needy. The Commission issued 22 advisories within the span of last 14 months, including the dignity of death, during COVID, safety of workers involved in hazardous work, bonded labor. Priority concerns are civil liberties, the right to food, water, health, migrants, human trafficking, prisons, and shelter. The Commission communication strategy includes disseminating human rights information and education wide and vast. The Commission sponsored more than 50 research projects on human rights issues. It held various conferences, meetings, and webinars. We conducted 5 online internship programs for 500 university students, 19 online workshops with Nehru Yuvak Kendra Sangathan and NSS. Also held competition on short films of human rights with 190 entries this year. The Commission has its dedicated investigation team headed by Director General of the Police. The Commission recommends monetary compensation and punitive action in any violation of human rights. Civil society, human rights defenders, and media play a crucial role in advancing human rights. We look for their cooperation, which is valuable to fulfill our place. There is a need to provide them with protective umbrella from victimization. Commission holds a prominent position at global forums. Member of Ganari International Association, founder of Asia Pacific Forum, and made its presence felt on various international platforms. Advancement and protection of human rights is our pious duty. But we have to remember, advocacy of human rights should not be a monopoly of few. It is a duty of all. We are at a threshold of a better future. There is no room for complacency. On this momentous occasion, let us pledge to rededicate ourselves to work relentlessly to ensure a life of meaning and dignity to everyone, to create a just and equitable society, to make the planet Earth a beautiful world, to protect and promote human dignity and inviolable rights of all. We have to wipe tears from every eye by upholding the principles and ideals enshrined in our Constitution and Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That will be our gratitude to the humanity, and that will truly fulfill the purpose of celebrating Human Rights Day. I am reminded of a poem by Tagore. He wanted that freedom of heaven, to quote few lines, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where the words come out from the depth of truth. I will be failing in my duty if I fail to remember and with reverence the contribution of late General Bipin Rawat. He has established, he was a great human rights champion. He established human rights cell at the directorate level in the armed forces. He was always associated with the Human Rights Commission, delivered several lectures. We remember, the country will always remember him, will not forget him, will not forget you, General, for your contribution. We salute you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your very profound views and thoughts on the importance of this day and the responsibility which each one of us has as an individual, as a professional, as a citizen, as a habitant of this planet towards creating a just and an inclusive society and a peaceful world. And ladies and gentlemen, we are really happy to inform you that we have received the message from the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres. And we have Mr. Shombi Shah, the United Nations Resident Coordinator in India, present with us. So may I request you, sir, to please read the message of the United Nations Secretary General.
Your Excellency, Honorable President of India, Shri Ramnath Kovind, Honorable Chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, Justice Arun Mishra, Secretary General of the Human Rights Commission, Shri Bimbadar Pradhan, esteemed members of the Commission, representatives of government, of civil society, of my international community colleagues, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As the newly accredited representative of the United Nations in India, on behalf of the United Nations Secretary General and the UN agencies which have the honor to serve India, it is my privilege, great privilege, to be here today to join you in the observance of Human Rights Day. The 10th of December is commemorated across the world as the anniversary of the adoption of the United Nations General Assembly of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, articulating arguably one of the greatest living legacies of our collective human history. And it goes without saying that India has long been one of the strongest champions, both of the Declaration itself and of the very concept of human rights and equality, the theme of this year's commemoration. This is reflected in many ways through the foundational traditions of this magnificent country and its people, through immortal leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, through the Constitution and the comprehensive rights-based legislative framework, and the strong and enduring democratic institutions as the world's largest democracy. Indeed, when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was being drafted, it was India's own Hansa Mehta who proposed to change Article 1 from reading "all men" to "all human beings are born free and equal." My dear colleagues, it is no coincidence that as we celebrate India's 75th independence anniversary, we note that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was born just 1 year after, of the same source and of the same spirit. Now, as India's eminence grows globally, the world continues to look to its leadership in furthering the principles of the Universal Declaration. I am therefore very pleased to read to you this year's message of the United Nations Secretary General. And I quote, "Our world is at a crossroads. The COVID-19 pandemic, the climate crisis, and the expansion of digital technology into all areas of our lives have created new threats to human rights. Exclusion and discrimination are rampant. Public space is shrinking. Poverty and hunger are rising for the first time in decades. Millions of children are missing out on their right to education. Inequality is deepening, but we can choose a different path. 73 years ago today, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The principles set out in this simple declaration remain the key to realizing all human rights, civil, economic, cultural, social, and political, for all people everywhere. Recovery from the pandemic must be an opportunity to expand human rights and freedoms, to rebuild trust in the justice and impartiality of laws and institutions, confidence that a life of dignity is within reach, faith that people can get a fair hearing and resolve their grievances peacefully. The United Nations stands for the rights of every member of our human family. Today and every day, we will continue to work for justice, equality, dignity, and human rights for all. Happy Human Rights Day. Aap sabhi ko Manav Adhikar Divas Mubarak ho. Bahut धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका सर, एंड थैंक यू फॉर इंस्पायरिंग एंड Thank you for inspiring and motivating everyone with the message of United Nations Secretary General. And on this occasion, we now have the release of 3 publications of NHRC. पहली पब्लिकेशन है कमीशन की वार्षिक हिंदी पत्रिका मानव अधिकार नई दिशाएं। इस पत्रिका का प्रथम संस्करण आयोग द्वारा वर्ष 2004 में प्रकाशित किया गया था और तब से लगातार आयोग प्रत्येक वर्ष मानव अधिकार दिवस के अवसर पर इस पत्रिका का लोकार्पण करता आया है। पत्रिका का उद्देश्य मानव अधिकारों पर प्रकाश डालते हुए जनमानस को जागरूक करने का एक सफल प्रयत्न है और आज इस पत्रिका का 18वां संस्करण का विमोचन किया जाएगा। दूसरी पत्रिका इसी का अंग्रेजी संस्करण है NHRC English Journal 2021। Its first publication was in 2002 and this, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the significant human rights journal giving an insight into the contemporary issues concerning all rights impacting on the people of this country. The journal is devoted to cover the gamut of human rights issues from the legal theoretical perspective on the ground realities. And the third book which is going to be released is Women Rights in India. This is an analytical study of the United Nations Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women vis-a-vis the Indian Constitution, legislation, schemes, policies and judgments. और अब मैं माननीय न्यायमूर्ति श्री अरुण मिश्रा जी से निवेदन करती हूँ कि इन तीनों पत्रिकाओं का विमोचन करने के लिए और इसकी पहली प्रति फिर माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी को भेंट करने के लिए। सबसे पहले कमीशन की वार्षिक हिंदी पत्रिका मानव अधिकार नई दिशाएं। मैं रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन आल्सो टू प्लीज होल्ड द बुक्स। और अब NHRC English Journal 2021। And now the third book, Women's Rights in India. और अब मैं सभी की तरफ से माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी से करबद्ध निवेदन करती हूँ हम सभी के मार्गदर्शन हेतु अपने विचारों से हमें अनुग्रहित करने के लिए।
Chairperson, National Human Rights Commission, Sri Justice Arun Mishra ji, members of the Commission, Sri Justice M.M. Kumar ji, Srimati Jyotika Kalra ji, Dr. M.M. Moole ji, and Sri Rajiv Jain ji. Secretary General Sri Bimbadar Pradhan ji, UN Resident Coordinator Mr. Soumi Sharp ji, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to be here among you to celebrate the 73rd Human Rights Day. On this day in 1948, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. On that day, we can confidently say humankind accomplished a higher stage in its moral evolution. The Declaration spells out a series of rights and freedoms every single human being is entitled to. These are inalienable rights dependent solely on the fact that each person belongs to humanity, irrespective of ethnicity, gender, nationality, religion, language, and other divisions. With the declaration, the global community made a formal recognition of basic human dignity, though it has been part of our spiritual traditions for millennia. The committee that drafted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights included representatives from around the world, including India. As you know, it was Hansaben Mehta, a freedom fighter and a disciple of Mahatma Gandhi, who made a highly significant contribution in rephrasing the draft preamble of the Declaration. Ladies and gentlemen, the Universal Declaration was an outcome of a human rights movement prompted by the Second World War. In India, meanwhile, it was the colonial rule that had prompted the demand for basic rights much earlier in our freedom struggle. It was way back in 1895 that the Swaraj Bill articulated human rights or fundamental rights in modern legal language as part of its vision of a constitution for India. The notion gained traction with masses after 1931, when the Indian National Congress passed a resolution specifically devoted to fundamental rights. While this Karachi session of the Congress was chaired by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the resolution on fundamental rights and economic changes was drafted with key suggestions from Mahatma Gandhi. The resolution noted that any constitution of India should provide fundamental rights of the people, including freedom of speech and religion. 2 months later, Gandhiji said that the resolution on fundamental rights was the most important resolution, and it showed what kind of Swaraj he wanted to achieve. Further, the father of the nation noted, and I quote, that Swaraj is the poor man's Swaraj, or Ram Rajya. Rama symbolized justice and equity. Rama symbolized truth and charity, unquote. These ideals also inspired the framers of the Constitution. Moreover, the subcommittee on fundamental rights was headed by Sardar Patel. Another coincidence was that the subcommittee included among its members Hansaben Mehta, who was also participating in the drafting of Universal Declaration of Human Rights around the same time. The preamble of our Constitution stresses upon justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. To my mind, the 4 words beautifully sum up the whole range of human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, the human rights discourse is justifiably centered on rights. But in India, we have always understood, as Gandhiji often reiterated, that rights and duties are 2 sides of the same coin. Moreover, rights of individuals are not held to be absolute, but have to be aligned with social context. In the Constituent Assembly debates, Sardar Patel had insisted on a balance between civil rights and society's own rights for the sake of order. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the chief architect of the Constitution, was also of the same mind. Responding at length to criticisms, he said, and I quote, "What the drafted Constitution has done is that instead of formulating fundamental rights in absolute terms and depending upon our Supreme Court to come to the rescue of Parliament by inventing the doctrine of police power, it permits the state directly to impose limitations upon the fundamental rights," unquote. It is this delicate balancing that has ensured the middle path for the Republic. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this year's Human Rights Day is equality. Article 1 of the Universal Declaration states, "All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights." Equality is the very soul of human rights. While non-discrimination is the first condition for absolute respect for human dignity, the world is beset with countless prejudices. They unfortunately hinder the full realization of individuals' potential and thus are not in the interest of society as a whole. Human Rights Day is the ideal occasion for us to ponder collectively and find ways to overcome such prejudices that only hinder the progress of humanity. On this day, the world should also debate and discuss the right to a healthy environment and climate justice. The degradation of nature is leading to irreversible changes in climate, and we are already witnessing its harmful impact. The world is waking up to the harsh reality, but it is yet to build the resolve to make decisive change. We owe it to our children that we save Mother Nature from the worst effects of industrialization. The time is running out. I am glad that India has taken initiatives at home as well as at the recently held Global Climate Conference, which will go a long way in restoring the health of the planet. Especially commendable is India's leadership in the International Solar Alliance and a series of measures to promote green energy. Ladies and gentlemen, the humanity is grappling with the worst pandemic in the history. While the pandemic is not yet over and the virus seems to be one step ahead of humankind, the world has so far responded to it by placing our trust in science and in global partnership. Though the pandemic affects the humanity universally, it is also seen that it has disproportionately devastating impact on the vulnerable sections of society. In this context, India, despite the obvious challenges, has been able to save millions of lives by adopting a policy of free and universal availability of vaccine. With the biggest vaccination exercise in history, the government has also been able to provide protection against the virus to nearly 1 billion people. I congratulate doctors, scientists, and all other corona warriors for their heroic efforts to uphold people's rights to life and right to health. In this battle with the invisible enemy, there have been multiple setbacks. During some of the more difficult times, institutions of the government tried their best to respond to a situation for which no amount of preparation could have been sufficient. The National Human Rights Commission, with its deep concern for the rights of the vulnerable and marginalized sections of the society affected by pandemic, issued several advisories which helped in improving our response. The NHRC has worked with other stakeholders including civil society, media, and individual activists to strengthen human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, today's occasion presents us with an opportunity to reflect upon what it means to be a human being and our role in enhancing the basic dignity of humankind. Our rights are our shared responsibility. I congratulate Justice Sri Arun Kumar Misra, all NHRC members, special rapporteurs, and special monitors on Human Rights Day. I also congratulate all state-level human rights commissions and their heads and members. My best wishes to all of you. Thank you. Jai Hind.